it's Annie from Vintage Journal, and here we have my masterboard that I made in my last video. So today I'm going to show you how I go from here, using, like I said before, the white gesso, and then obviously cutting this down into tags and journaling cards. So the first thing I like to do is, with my gesso, put some on my brush, and I've got my glue book here, so I take the excess off, and then starting at one corner, just very gently going over with the white gesso. It looks really white to start off with, but it does dry a kind of clear. Okay, and then we just go over the whole of the masterboard, which, like I said before, takes away those sharp edges and kind of like blends all of those pieces together. And it also gives you a nice starting point for any colours you want to add, any inks and things that you want to put on there. So just keep going until the whole one is done. So there we have finished masterboard with gesso paint, and like I said, you can still see all of the text, all of the notes, everything through it. It just kind of brings it all together as a blank surface. I'm now going to let that dry and then show you what I do next. So now this is dried, I'm going to cut it into journaling cards and tag sizes. And the journaling cards I want for my project are quite large. They're 4 by 6, so obviously this is 12 by 12. So if I cut this down at 6 inches, I always cut on the side that I haven't stuck on, so the blade doesn't get caught up in the little bits of paper, and sometimes they can just get caught up in here. So my large journaling cards, like I said, are going to be 4 by 6. So I should be able to make, I'll just get my calculations right, 3 cards out of here. So there we have the large journaling cards, and because these have got, that one's okay, there's a little bit of paint on the back, I might cover these with some neutral card when I actually put them in my journal, because it's got paint on it there from my mat. So they're my 4 by 6. And then this one I'm going to cut down into tags. So I'm going to cut that in half. Oops, wrong side. So that's obviously 6 inches. So if I cut it down at 3 inches, this is going to give me lots of tags. Now, some of the tags I'm going to cut this way, so they're longer. Some of the tags I'm going to cut this way. So this strip I will cut at 2 inches. So these will be nice little tags just to coordinate all together with whichever project you're using, whichever colours you want to use. There we go. So those tags now measure 2 inches by 3 inches. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. And then this piece I'm going to cut, just trying to think, I'm going to cut in half. So that gives me 6 inches by 3 inches, 2 larger tags. And again, I'll cover the back of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 journaling cards, a large tag and 2 of the smaller tags. I'm going to do these in the same coordinating stamps and colours. So with this theme I'm going for a butterfly theme, and also blues and blacks with colour. So the first thing I'm going to do is to ink around the edges of all of these. And I've got this Lavender Love. These are chalk paint, chalk inks. and they're really, really lovely. What I usually do is use my glass mat for inking, because I just find it easier to wipe off and it gives a smoother surface when I ink. So you will see a bit of a light shining from my light above. So take my first card. Before I do this, actually, I'm going to round the corners. Because these are journaling cards, they're not tags, I quite like rounded corners. So I'm just going to round these first. Tags, I don't usually round the corners. Sometimes I round the bottoms. It's quite a thick card to get through. There we go. And I like to use one of these for my ink. So just ink up the side and then come in round the edge. Keep inking up. And again, these chalk inks, they do stay really well on the paper. They don't bleed off or anything. So I'm going to come in with that light colour to start off with. And the edges, and then just very, very lightly over the actual card. And then same with the second one. So inking on and off the card. Going all the way around. And it depends how you like to ink your card. You can come further in if you wanted to, or you can go just on the very edge. And again, just a little bit over the middle. The first one I'm going to stamp is this lovely butterfly. This is from Sampool, and it's just goes onto an acrylic block. Just about fits on my one. And I'm going to use a black Memento ink to stamp my image. So I always take the pad to the stamp because I can see clearly where I'm putting the ink. And go all the way over, just making sure that I've covered all of the text and all of the stamps, especially those moths in the middle. So they're not butterflies, they're moths. This one. And then bringing that to my card, lining up. So I've got the central image and then pushing all the way over. Really good push. And fingers crossed. It's not slightly in the middle because it's a little bit where the card is bent that way. But it's quite nice. Nice image. Then I'm going to take some white acrylic paint. This is just from my local shop. And I'm going to put some of that onto an acrylic block. Add some water. So it's a little bit looser. And then just knock that onto my stamped area. And that is as simple as my first tag is going to be. So let's move on to the second one. I'm just going to clean some of this paint splats up. So for my second journaling tag, obviously I've got the blue edge. I've got this slightly darker blue ink, Sailor Suit, again a chalk ink. And I'm first of all going to come in with a stencil and just randomly stencil some of this pattern onto the card. So I just hold it down with my hand. Go in with the ink. Okay, and have a little look. It's quite nice. And I'm going to do the same at the top corner here. So again, all the way up to the edge, but randomly into the middle. go, that's quite square, so I've gone on the corner, so I'm going to turn that, line it up again, and just make that a little less square on both of those parts. Okay, let's have a tiny bit in here. And down here. Now down the bottom of the card I've got some stamps. I'm going to create a kind of scene, a garden scene. So this one is just some flowers and greenery. And again I'm going to do all my stamping in black because I quite like the black against the dark blue. So again, taking my ink pad to my stamp. And then pop that along the bottom. Push it nice and hard. That's created a kind of scene at the bottom. Then I've got a large butterfly. It's going to be my central focus on this white area. So again, black ink. I'll pop that one there. It's slightly smudged. And then I'm just going to come in with some smaller butterflies around as well. So because these are smaller, I'm just going to take the stamp to the ink. And then I've got some real tiny little ones as well. And I try and stamp over where I've got text, so the text isn't as prominent. Okay. And again, I'm going to come in with my white, and then I'm just going to pop my other board underneath here so I can clean up easier. Glass is much easier to wipe down. Again, acrylic paint, white. Quite a bit on there, but to come out. Put a bit more water on there. And there's my second journaling card. So now going on to my longer tag. I've cut this down just a tiny bit off the top because the stamp I wanted to use was shorter. So I've obviously made this tag shorter so it kind of like fits, if that makes sense. So first thing I'm going to do is obviously with the tag is make the corners. So what I always do is cut one side off, flip it over, put it onto the other corner, and this will give us corners that are exactly the same. So your tag is equal on both sides. There we go. And then I'm going to just mark a hole where I would like a little dot for my hole to go. Otherwise I find I never get it central. And using my ancient tool, I'm going to cut my hole. Making sure that is central. There we go. So now I've done all my cutting, I can ink the edges so it matches the other tags. And again, just coming round. Oh, I've just used that darker ink, haven't I? Well, it will match in at some point. This is what you get when you're not a tidy crafter and you leave things in random places. So what I'm going to do is come in with the lighter ink, because obviously that's the darker ink, and I'm just going to slightly stencil behind there like I did before. So So I'll just change my head, grab my stencil, and I'm going to come right down the middle with this colour. And again, not that much different actually. There we go, it kind of blends in the middle there. I've got this stamp here. I'm so lucky. My local craft shop is amazing. It's called Craft Mania in Great Yarmouth. And they had a load of stamps that they'd used in lessons, and they were selling them off for £1. So this one and the stamp I'm going to use was £1. And the stamp I'm going to use in future projects got all this kind of lovely text on it. Absolutely amazing. So if you are local to Great Yarmouth, go and give Craft Mania a look. Fabulous. So Memento black ink again. Ink to stamp. It's quite a delicate, intricate stamp, this one. So I'm going to make sure all that tiny writing has got the ink on. And just wipe where I've made a mess. And then this is going to go down the left-hand side of my tags. I'm just going to make sure that's really lined up before I push. There we go, and again give that a real good push on all areas. I'd love to have one of those fancy machines where you flip it over and it goes in the same place each time. It's on my wish list. There we go. And then I'm going to have just some smaller of the butterfly stamps going off the edge to tie that in. Okay, so smaller stamp, I take stamp to pad. I'm going to have one there, one the opposite way, and just that little small butterfly again in between to fill up those spaces. One in there. There we go. Another one going off the page. Then again, I'm going to get my white acrylic ink, so these tie in with the rest of the tags and things I've made. Spray a bit more water. Go into my brush. This is what they call a splatter brush, I think. So again, lots of ink on there, paint on there. There we go, and I just need to put some ribbon in the top there to finish that one off. So the last thing I need to do is my two smaller tags, which I'll show you next. So here are the last two tags, and again I'm just going to cut the corners of these. I have rounded the bottoms because I find when you're putting them in and out of pockets, a round bottom goes in a pocket easier. Sometimes if you've still got a square, it does tend to kind of like fray up. So I just like to round the bottoms. So again, coming in with my scissors, cut, turn it over, and cut the other side. And because these are the same, I'm just going to go ahead and cut there. And I've got my two tags. Then with just one of these, pencil mark in where I want my hole. And there we go. So then again with my ink, and I have got the lighter ink on this time, just go around the edges to lift the blue. Here we go. And on top of these, I found these lovely little stickers. Well, I bought them from Etsy. I'll have to see if I can find which account it was and link those below, because they were amazing. You get so many sheets. I printed them out onto sticker paper, So all I then have to do when I want to use them is peel the background off, which is easier said than done, she says. If anybody knows a way to peel backing off easier, please let me know. So I'm going to pop a sticker on there, and the blue edges of these go in lovely with the blue ink. I need longer nails, that's what it is. And then the second one, go in just there. And then also as part of that kit, there's lots of these little tags. So I'm going to, again, I printed those out onto sticker paper. And I'm going to put one on the left hand side and the other on the right hand side. And actually that works out quite well, because on that tag is where the text paper was, which is sometimes nice to cover over. There we go. Make sure they're really stuck down. And again, coming in with some of my white acrylic paint. Ooh, big splats on those ones. There we go. And I'll just find some ribbon to finish those off, and then I will show you all of the things together. So here are the finished tags all together, and I think together they look beautiful, like a set of journaling cards and tags. So let's get nice and close now. You've got the one with the moths, and then butterflies. I added a sentiment to that one, with brave wings she flies. And then there was the two tags and the larger tag. And I just added another little tab down the bottom of that one to finish it off. So from one 12 by 12 masterboard, I've created all of these, and obviously have quite a few left over for another project another time. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Bye.